We're recording. This library meeting is here in absent. Sure, I was here. I mean, the mission, because the whole discussion of getting.
No, you were, I think you were the one before.
What's that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's why we moved it to this time, because they were.
Oh, man, okay,
yeah.
then that's the kind of year, it's like.
Yeah.
It's switching up.
2 months is one.
Yeah, there. yeah.
And we probably had like the same meeting almost, and Jonathan wasn't here, but I think the three of us were in attendance, so.
Yeah.
Does someone want to chair in Jonathan's absence?
Oh, yeah.
Thought Jeff did
I can do it
a
again.
good job.
Yeah. Okay, first thing, it's probably 6:05 or so. The Larkspur Library Board on November 13th meeting. And we should do a roll call first. People just want to go around.
Ahmed Fatterman,
Andrew Mill.
Jeff Gunderson
Amir Mulafagi.
and the one person who we anticipate to be here at some point, maybe a little late, is Jonathan. Can I get somebody, I hope people have had a chance to look at the minutes. And if somebody would like to approve make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Second.
And we're all in favor, then we can move on to public comment.
Good timing.
Welcome.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Bill Hansel. I'm the new building official for the city. So my office is right there, and I heard you through the door, and I thought, well, I should at least say hello.
very
So,
nice.
just
Thank you.
meeting people. So
say it again, what is your role?
peak building official. So building permits and code enforcement and oversight and working with the DPW and yeah, across the board. So answering to Elise and trying to help her with taking load off community development issues, working with the planners. So
Great.
yeah,
When did you get started?
2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is my
So is Elise would be, I can't remember Elise's last name, she'd be on
Simonian.
Simonian.
I answer to her. I report
Okay.
to her.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Nice.
So anyway,
Team is-
didn't want to interrupt, but I thought it was an opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you do library then?
I don't, but I did tell my wife, I have a 5-year-old and 8-year-old, and I said to my wife, you don't have to bring the kids to.
You can bring books home, you know?
I will certainly do
Yeah.
that.
That's three times on Friday.
No, yes, yeah.
Welcome to the team.
It's great,
Yeah.
it's a lovely library, thank you, appreciate it. Anyway,
Welcome.
Well, nice to meet you. Actually, I can go through this one. That's really great.
Right on cue.
That was our public comment, I think, unless we have, well, I don't think we entertain any public comment on.
No,
No Zoom comments
Zoom
anymore. People can view, but there's no one attending, but no comments via Zoom.
Do we have any board member reports or comments that anybody has since our last meeting?
nothing to report.
Yeah, I don't think it's important.
Same.
I don't think I do either, actually. Okay, so we can move on to the director's oral report.
Okay, director's oral report. The last time we met, I talked about a newsletter, and it's still moving ahead. We're gonna hire though a professional graphic artist to help us, and the first person we contacted, the quote was a little high. So we're gonna get a couple more quotes and try to find a better match, because we want to, I think, get this right instead of go quickly. So we'll bring that newsletter here like we talked about last time for a little feedback and bouncing off once we're there, but probably be early next year in reality now. And so that's gonna go to all our card holders. The other thing kind of excited about we launched is Hoopla. So this is a new service. And basically it's instant streaming. Our other service, Libby, you have hold lists and queues. This one has, instant audiobooks, has things like the great courses. If you want to binge pass and do some of those type of activities. So kind of spread the word about that. And wanted just to mention kind of a program we got coming up that's might be kind of exciting, especially if you're 5 and 8, is we have Ron Rosen is going to do his discussion on December 2nd of going up into space
Right.
on the Virgin Galactic. So we think that's gonna get a pretty big turnout, so excited about that. And then on the new library, I don't think, Commons Foundation is here. So with the new library, we've had the RFP out to the three folks. We did one confidential interview with the team, and so they presented some initial ideas to us based on the RFP, which is about 900 pages. It's very detailed. And their proposals are due November 15th. And we'll be scoring those, Julian, Shannon, myself, Ann and Brock. And Mayor Paulson and Scott have been in attendance on those meetings. So we'll probably have like the final interviews with the three people on the scoring team on December 1st. And then it's projected kind of December 7th, 8th, we would be able to know the winner by the scoring, and it's best value. So we've said we have so much money and what library can use, so what will be the best value? And then trying to figure out a day to have the council approve discussion of a contract. Probably might be the December 20th meeting, they might move it slightly from there, so that's going along on track and going along really well. And once the contract's decided, there'll be opportunity for more public comment during the planning commission, probably in the spring. So we're on pace, it's looking good, it's exciting to talk about it, and so that's my oral report, I guess. So I don't really have anything more, but I could take any questions or comments from the board.
December 20th, you said that it would be the meeting when the city council would be discussing a contract, potentially.
Potentially, but
Tentatively.
they may move the date slightly depending on the availability of council members. And it takes 3 or 4 days to get the staff report, so they might move it up a few days, like 18th or maybe 15th or 14th, somewhere in there, once they get because they kind of want to make sure the process after the 1st is okay. The meeting would normally be on Wednesday, December 20th, but sometimes I guess in the past, they've canceled that last December meeting because of availability.
Yeah.
So a little fluctuation because of December, I think, but
Yeah.
that would be the public meeting.
Or just people ask, so it's good to have a date and send people up with a specific dates and.
I've been generally saying December 12th and
Yeah.
December 20th and subject to change.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would think they would want to speed this along at this point, just because of the time constraints.
Yeah, because it'll take a little while to get the contract, finalized, negotiated, and then we'll start getting concepts, bouncing off ideas and kind of moving ahead, so. Exciting,
Yeah, that's really good.
Something kind of go
That's
there,
terrific.
and all three have done libraries before, so. I think we'll find a good fit here.
Is the library closing, I don't know, that's part of your comment, but,
Oh,
the dates of closure for the holiday?
yeah, we're gonna close, the library will be closed for Thanksgiving. The Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then also our regular Monday and reopen on the Tuesday. We have a calendar with me.
I have,
And for the last week of the year, the city closes from December 22nd till January 21st, January 1st. We'll be open Friday, December 22nd.
Correct.
And then close December 23rd through January 2nd.
Thanksgiving will be from the 23rd, reopening on the 28th.
Yeah, that's correct.
Good to know.
So,
Well, this is for people who just stop us in the street with questions.
the Corte Madera will be open the
Oh, yes,
non-Christmas
there's
days.
no shortage of places.
So,
This looks like a cool service. How did we prioritize this?
this one, every other library in Marin County has it. And a lot of libraries nationwide have that. So we carved out a small amount of our budget, $2,500. For probably 6 months worth of use. See how it goes. We'll probably keep it. We get charged different amounts depending on what people view.
Okay.
The max is $3.99 and you go down to 99 cents. So we'll see how, because it's kind of a weird service because you don't want to max out your budget, because once our budget's gone, no one can check out anything.
Oh, interesting.
So it caps it, which is good and bad. You know, for the user, it's bad. For us, it helps control costs. So the first couple months, I think we'll get an idea of how people are using it. And typically, in other libraries, I launched it at Marin County in
Yeah.
17. November, December, January, February are like your peak times.
Yeah.
Then it kind of peaks again in the summer. Because I think a lot of people like the audiobooks primarily.
Got it.
But we'll see what Larkspur's all about here.
Right.
And we might add a little money, may take away, may talk to the friends.
And how is this being announced to the readers? Just through visiting the library, or is it also in the city manager's email that we send?
We put it in the book sizzle, which is our kind of our Friday announcement, which is lower key. We have this. We haven't put it in the city manager newsletter quite yet. We're kind of, because again, we didn't want to be too that balance of popularity. First week, so we'll look at, we just launched it November 1st, so we'll look at it. But we'll put it in the newsletter before the end of the year, though.
You anticipate that the newsletter will be sent, you mean the library newsletter?
The city manager
The
newsletter.
manager.
We'll definitely put it in when we have a newsletter.
Yes,
But this will help us. Some libraries don't promote it too much and it's more of like a super user.
benefit.
But yeah, because none of the books at the consortium level from RenNet, we didn't put those in our catalog. Because some of the books in there have like long hold queues. And if you go here, you could get it without the hold queue, but we didn't put the records. The libraries didn't want to put it in there out of fiscal concerns.
Yeah.
It could drain you pretty quickly.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, great. Yeah, let us know, especially if you have what you think of the kids and youth titles.
Yeah, totally.
Would be.
Yeah, I just looked that up real quick. It looked like it's like has like learn how to read type stuff, which I think the kid, parents would love. So. Why? You skeptical?
I'm not skeptical at all. I can see where you're going. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
get your kids going on
Yeah.
that.
I know. We're ready to go. Yeah. Yeah.
And it is super easy, like once you sign up, like the app, it's saved in your app, so there's
Right.
no,
Yeah.
No,
it's awesome. I think they had a program, something similar from school that was very limited and you have to kind of upgrade and stuff. So this seems very similar. So I think they'll get a kick out of this. Yeah, it's awesome.
okay. And so if no other questions or comments on the report, or I always take general library questions too. Yeah.
I think we used to do like the by the numbers type review. Do we want to bring that into the oral report back? Or
What do we do with it?
It-
The only reason to have it is when we are assessing the program, that is just, should we or shouldn't we do it? But
I'm just kind of thinking some regularity, just knowing like, is there a trend of sorts? Is there kind of key changes and,
Well, one thing, just kind of, I guess that's more statistical, like
yeah, just
checking.
like, it was just, it was
Yeah.
kind of like, how's the library being utilized and.
This week, or last week, actually, our state library report data was compiled. I did it. And so every year libraries have to submit how much you check out.
Right.
So I could bring that to like the next meeting or a future meeting. Or with more regularity, but it has our yearly CERC. how many card holders we have, what
Right.
teams or that sort of thing.
I
On
guess
a yearly,
to Armel's point, maybe once we get into the mission and planning and goals and stuff, we could have like a more centered conversation around that. I think if there are some key trends or things that we want to watch over time and shift, like if there's like a demographic thing, can we, make kind of put a dent to some of those things? I think those would be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think it would be good. I think we used to look at all the programming numbers. I mean, I don't, to your point, I think it's really on a need to know basis, but I think for the end of the year, I think that would be a good. Maybe next meeting, have that, since you already kind of have the numbers, and that would also give us. Statistics for the report to the city council.
Mhm.
So now,
It's good to have the comparison with previous years, especially because we're coming out of the pandemic, where the trends were very different. People were doing, reading and borrowing material differently. So we can see how it has, I don't want to say normalized, but realigned itself with either what it was before. But I find that data is great, but one needs to know what are we looking for in the data. So just to spend a lot of time for you to compile it and us to look at it without truly knowing what are we looking for. Aside from, wow, a big bulge in something and one program that is not being used, and then why are we doing it? Just is it necessary to continue doing something that is not necessary?
well, I think I could probably easily pull together the state data, because it's all kind of there. It has the previous year, kind of clean up the spreadsheet a little bit.
yeah, I think that would be useful.
And, just to get,
For the
because
end
you're
of the
about,
year particularly, yeah.
the one thing I found interesting. And when I was going through it is even though it was the year after COVID. Well, I guess it's hard to define when the year after COVID maybe, but. Our physical cert was down quite a bit, even though the library had reopened.
The physical attendance.
No, the physical number of items that were going out to the public was fewer than when we were doing curbside.
Oh,
By a noticeable amount. I'll wait till we get the report, because I have the number in my head, but I don't want to say the wrong thing in an official meeting. But it was that was the one noticeable thing, and we also noticed that was a Marin-wide trend.
Wow.
Interesting.
And there's a few ideas and reasons possibly, and that might be a fun discussion. Insightful to have here on why that went down.
so when you say it went down compared to the COVID years, but did it go back to a certain level pre-COVID?
I'll have to check what we submitted for 19 and 18
Yeah.
in there. I know at the county, the general trend was it was kind of going down. COVID kind of brought up adult, but the adult, children's actually went up. Children's physical circulation went up in that period, but the adult physical is kind of was. I kind of mixing up things here, but in Marin County, it was before COVID slightly going down for adults. Then kind of went up with COVID, and then I was starting to revert down just slightly. The children's was kind of going up though. And again, that's because probably children are taking out, multiple picture books, and you have younger families and that sort of thing. But I think that could impact our collection in the future, how we buy, if we're seeing people
Right,
move to ebooks more,
right.
was probably one of the big.
Well, the big question is to look at the trend and then seeing if it is a real trend or if COVID was a bump. And that we don't do things based on what happened during COVID, which, knock on wood, will not happen again. Those were exceptional conditions, and to see what happened during those years and what can we learn so that we can adjust. And so maybe it went back to the usage that was more adapted to people's activity when they were commuting, reading less, or whatever the reason is. That we can, as you said, the collection will be affected, not buying as many books. You know what, please,
So I'll
Yeah.
pull that together there.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to
Kind of
see, and
just a few
anything you
thoughts.
have gleaned from that, you can educate us about, that'd be great.
Yeah, for me, it was like this also too with the new library space allocation. And so if kids' books are being checked out more, maybe, the big library is kind of already determined, but we have a little time. Can we give a little more, should we have more children's books than maybe some adults?
Right.
Science books or, I mean, we need to look at it a little closer, but that was one kind of a macro thing.
well, there's a more, and then there's also the availability. We can do children wait for a book as well as adults who will wait 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks for a book. And that is something that for the children, it needs to be now. And see, they have it, they want it, and it's not, and they change so fast, right? Those are the small books, but also wider range and turnover.
Yeah, I think most of the holds are for adult books and most children's books are kind of grab and go.
So that will give a different way of stocking the shelves. For children or adults, because of their habit. We'll see from the numbers.
Yeah, we'll get those together and it was an unusual year and I think next year's numbers will be. Even more telling because we've only been open, I think, on a regular basis since last January or February. Something like that, so. We'll see.
So, good, we have a future agenda item then.
Yeah,
Okay, next thing is our business item, which is library mission statements, and I just had mentioned to Damon when I came in that looking through some of the ones that he had sent us and that I had looked up online.
yes,
I
have
was
them.
kind of amazed at how so many things
Yeah.
are real similar. And yet, I don't know why I as librarian would be amazed at that, just because that is what public libraries do throughout. They, it's specific to their, constituency sometimes and demographics, but it all resonated with me seeing all those mission statements.
I did think that it was, I'm very grateful for you for sending all those different mission statements because it exactly brought home that point. That even so we think we know by reading all of them, it's like tasting all sorts of type of apples. You say, oh, I know what an apple tastes like. And then you taste 17 different varietals, and then you say, oh my God, this tastes like an apple, but this one is an apple, but it's different. And that was the exercise here, seeing mission statements that were all very valid, but they said different things. And it really brought home that what we need to do is to say, which of all these general concepts do we want to emphasize? If we want to have something that's shorter than what we already have.
And the other thing is how you succinctly at the very end of everything put down yours. And I thought, wow, that's a good succinct, spot on, very clear mission statement.
Yeah, and I think for me, we talked about this a little bit last time. It was like less is more. It's like the ones that really resonated with me were like even the one that was probably the most concise was the Santa Cruz one. It literally was connect, inspire, and inform. Like I think that was one I highlighted, and I really like the Seattle one. Our mission is to bring people, information, and ideas together to enrich lives and build community. And I think the one thing that resonated with me was I love living here because of the sense of community. And I think the library, like for me, particularly with when my kids were really young, like that, like was such a community thing. You just mentioned like the children's stories. And so having something that highlights community to me was really important. And I like how you ended yours with empowering our community's growth and unity, right? It's like we want growth, I think. From everyone, like, and knowledge is, kind of power and growth, and that's what you get from books, right? And so I really like the growth and unity. After community with the one you put together, so that was my big thing, is like making sure. We use those words in some regard, but particularly the community side, that was kind of what resonated. Our library is such a part of our community. It inspires community, it helps community. I mean,
Yeah.
right, the library is also community center, right? It's like,
There was another aspect that was, I forget which library was saying it, but it was free access. And I do think that it is important to maintain or to keep in mind that this is a public library. This is not somewhere where, money has taken place already. The fines have been eliminated, and we're not going to go there. But it really is important. And so by looking at all of these statements, I did a little homework, and I put together the names, the words that for each of them came out, and it was community, literacy, because some of them, like the one from Santa Cruz, it could pretty much
there were a lot of things.
be for many things. It could be for a rec center. It could be
Totally,
for a hospital.
like, I love it, 'cause it's clean, but to your point,
It could be just too generic.
I totally agree.
I thought that literacy is an important, it could be anything. Literacy is books, computers, all sorts of things.
Like the Bell Tib one had that literate on it, I think.
Yes,
Did they?
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
Knowledge, connection, exploration, free access. And in your statement, you introduces the notion of space. And which brings a whole different dimension, if I can say that, to the mission statement, because then we are beyond concept of what we're doing, but we are literally talking about a physical. And is that something that's, because we're building a new library, it is important to us. And I'm not saying no, yes or no, but I thought it was an interesting concept to explore. So do we want to have the word space in it? And then also, a lot of we're a small library. We are a city library. We are not linked, well, we're linked, but we are not governed by the county. So the sense of being local is important. This is why, if for some reason the city of Larkspur would say, well, no more library, why is it that we would contest? And it just that it's local. We can introduce here programs that are specific to Larkspur, specific to Marin County, specific to Northern California. That's so that the community, the local community is important. So those are the words that I picked up from other libraries. And the one I thought was the best was the one was the New York Public Library. Inspire lifelong learning, advance knowledge, and strengthen communities. So that's very short.
I was going to add a lifelong learning phrase within that, but I was at an art college, I was at an academic library essentially, so it's slightly different there, but that is a component of public libraries without a doubt.
So I put together.
I like the space part.
I like the name, I like the word inspire too.
Yeah.
So can I read you the one I wrangled from yours? I twisted yours. I like yours, but so I said Larkspur Library mission is to provide free access to literacy, knowledge, learning, and exploration, and to strengthen our communities through meaningful programs and connections. Too long. We can edit. There's no inspired.
Okay.
No.
Say one more time.
Yeah, something is wrong here. Larkspur Library mission is to provide free access to literacy, knowledge, learning, and exploration, and to strengthen our communities through meaningful programs and connection. So I'm missing the local and the inspired.
For me, I really like the word connection in these
Yeah, me
statements,
too.
because I think it really. We're kind of a vortex when you talk about lifelong learning. We're one of the few places where you can be 0 to 100 to come. And that's one thing I've always loved about the library, seeing. You know, all the people learning and growing throughout that time, and people just connecting together, random conversations in the library kind of thing. So that's kind of the word I'm
Yeah,
hoping to get in
Yeah,
there is,
that's-
or connect, depending on.
yeah, well,
Sorry.
I'm putting in, and I
Yeah.
think we need a wordsmith to make this,
Yeah, I think,
nicer.
you know, today, probably we won't write, I would guess, write it today, but it's great to have these concepts or ideas or other words that I think kind of probably take a couple meetings before we get it finalized, but thank you, that was great.
And I like the programming aspect of it that's embedded in there,
Yeah,
because that is such a
I
key
need to
piece of
program.
this
And
library.
that's always, I think, having something with. The free access, right, to that stuff. Is one of the big things that this library has done. Has been the program, is the fact that this little library. Gives you access to tons of really cool things.
Well, if you look back at what we did during the pandemic, where everything shut down and how with the help of the Library Foundation, we were able to get little computers
Yeah,
and little hotspots to be loaned, and that happened very quickly.
Yep.
That was something that really. I was thinking back, instead of doing the statement according to what we wanted, I thought about what is it we do well? And how is that, and why is it we can do it? And the reason we were able to have the hotspots and the little tablets, it's because we're small. And it was one phone call to the library foundation saying, we need those things. That costs so much. And it was immediate. We don't have 50 layers of red tape or bureaucracy. And that's what made the free access possible. And that was made the programming possible. Teresa,
Yeah.
heard of some things this week. Within the next 2 months, we can find a way to make
yeah,
it happen.
access. Is because of some of these groups that we have that work alongside, right, to a point.
Because
Foundation got
we're
those,
limber.
right, some of the programming friends do, like. That's a critical part of it, I agree.
So I think, like, as I listen to the feedback so far, there's like this element of, the why, like why it matters, right? The purpose, and hopefully like we can fold this into setting goals and, you know, as you prioritize things, like this is like, okay, we always go back to the why, like, why would we do this? And it's because we want to hit this mission, right? Like, this is the purpose of this library. And so I mean, I certainly echo everything about connection, community. I think that's like a huge part of why I hope this, you know, the new library, and so it's going to be a critical part of the city. I don't feel, or sorry, I feel like the more we could also, if this is going to be a thing that allows us to focus more, given that we're always going to be resource constrained, we're always going to be chasing, like, how do we, you know, the more grandiose and like we have very limited people and, you know, access to funds, it's like, how could it further narrow our ability to deliver something really amazing, but on a smaller scope? Because I mean, some of the missions are just like very grandiose and like it's awesome, but like, you know, it's a library funded with like quite a little amount of money and very few people's like dedicated time. And so I think it would be, I actually think the programs and like the connections, like we can definitely deliver on that. Like there's definitely enough bandwidth and funding for this to become a major part of like providing that connectivity. And of course, like it's a library, you know, it's like I mean, the one thing I'm like preserving from the original mission, like love of reading, you know, sort of kind of it's kind of like the bond in this, like, why would this be the place that connects the community versus like the Lark Theater or the, you know, or Lucky's, you know, it's no longer here. But, no, I mean, I'm just saying,
No, you're right.
our spots, you know, but
Communal
like,
spot.
I'll meet you, yeah. And so it's like, if this is the gathering spot where we connect and we bond together, it's like an around the opportunity to learn something, you know, to grow, right? Our thinking, our knowledge about the topic. I mean, just something that allows us to focus the programming, focus the all of the efforts that we put in. Like, how will this library have an identity that's unique to Larkspur, right? And I think the hardest part is the trade-offs, right? Because by being something, you're essentially not going to be a bunch of things, right? And it's the being willing to not do a bunch of things that is going to be the rub, right? Because
The mission does not really determine specifically
Agreed.
what programs we're gonna be.
totally,
And when you say love of reading,
Yeah.
when you go back to literacy,
Yeah.
it does encompass that.
yeah,
And there is, I understand what you say, just
Yeah.
if we're too broad, then we could be anything. We
Right.
could be a movie theater, we could be an ice rink, or whatever.
Yeah.
But we
Thanks for
have,
Santa Cruz.
we could be Santa Cruz, but I
I'm
think
not, by
it's-
the way,
I
I'm
think it's-
not, this wasn't a criticism
No,
on
no,
any
no. I
of
think
the,
it's
yeah,
important that we are succinct. But at the same time, realize that this mission has to live a long time. It
yes,
has to be a guiding principle that, it's just like the vows that you exchange at a wedding.
Right.
They have to last a
good,
lifetime.
at least 10 years.
More. But you want the principle to be
Those are all
applicable with different programs, we don't know what the technology is gonna be 10 years from now.
Right.
But we still know that literacy is gonna be necessary.
Right.
Because,
Community.
and community is
yes,
gonna be,
all
and free
Yeah,
access is
right.
gonna be, and desire, and connection is gonna be.
I think it's part of the, you know, I mean, I feel like even there, we have a chance for some level of clarification or clarity in that, you know, the thing that I find invaluable in like what the library provides is the long form content. It's kind of that deeper connection to, you know, going deeper on topics where generationally we've kind of like, you know, it's like, hey, anything greater than 140 characters is too long, you know. And so I'm like, you know, is there an opportunity to get even more crisp on
Different.
where we want that focus to be?
Well, what we can do that we
And
can,
by the way,
we
I
can
mean,
rate them. You
yeah,
can just say which are the ones, because I do agree that we want something, that the good thing that Santa Cruz, that was short it is,
yeah,
or the one from the New York Library. It's easy to have as a tag. We were talking about somebody was talking about tote bags. But if we could have a mission that is, I don't want to say a slogan, because those are just very dangerous.
yeah.
But something like that, it's just, this is what we do well. Do we focus on community? Do we focus on?
It's a brand, look, I mean, inevitably the Larkspur Library is getting a whole new brand and location and like it's happening, right? Like whether we, you know, it's like there's this big moment that it's gonna kind of become a much bigger part of this city. So I do think the tote bag and all that stuff is like, it's coming, you
You know
know?
which we can have?
Yeah.
We can have, just like books nowadays, where we have a title, a few words mission that just focus on what we agree is the main thing. And then we have the longer paragraph. And the one that is used on, as a tagline is that distilled
I love having the tagline.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
I-
like the Santa
yeah.
Cruz one,
Yeah,
but I was even looking at Damon's. Like the end, it's community growth and unity, and yeah, maybe
yeah,
unity and community are like somewhat. But like, I love having like a mission statement like what you've had, and then having that
Feeling
tote
something.
bag slogan of like.
yeah.
Maybe 3 words that really represent us, because part of it is a branding as we have a new space and. Like, couldn't those two go together?
Yeah, I think so. I like having
People do that?
the mission statement and it can kind of come out of it and you can kind of just see it. At the county, we did leisure learning living 10 years
Yeah,
ago,
like something like that, I love.
but it was different than our mission statement, you know, so we
Yeah.
had. Because I think you want to have, for us, I think we want something that eventually guides us, because I think when this opens for people, the library is always a different thing. For them, you know, is it as a parent, is it,
Yeah,
what kind of plants are gonna be in landscaping, you know, there's a whole. Assortment of what this library represents to people, so it is good that. Some of that you can do, you know, with your goals and objectives and your, you know, strategic planning process. Ideally, and I might be getting this back from when I was in school, but having like a 10-word mission statement. That was what our professor at Dominican kind of taught, was kind of an ideal, you can kind of remember it not too long.
Mhm.
You're kind of getting into the words, and a lot of this, I think for me, is just hearing these words and phrases. And this is the first time I've heard a lot of your own philosophies, so the discussion to get it is a big thing.
Yeah,
for me.
I honestly think that is the kind of like. That was the hope for this as an agenda item, is just like what it means to us and what we want. You know, whereas like connections, growth, right?
Access.
Free access, like being able to get to this easily. And then the sort of like. I still think this is the one area or the one sort of remaining body that values going deeper on topics and exploring and expanding your horizon. Like it just, it's like a. That's my like, how do we, the ability to just continue that on generationally so that we don't lose that as like a muscle, you know.
yeah, the what and the why of that succinct mission statement that, God, we're thinking the same way, which is really. You know, fascinating to hear, but I don't know why we would be that different. But the tricky part is and the tagline kind of thing would be
I love that.
fantastic,
I don't know why I'm
you know,
so.
for that tote bag. But the tricky part is the how, you know, how do you do that? Like, you know, the one thing that I keep coming back to is, you know, how do you figure out to saturate that audience that surrounds that new facility with that middle school and that high school, you know, that age group is just one of the hardest ones. And to, you know, make sure they embrace that, you know, succinct mission and they buy into that as well. And that's just an example of many of the complicated things that I
Well,
think you're
I mean,
trying to figure out.
I'm wondering, you know, what we do is, we submit. If we were to collect this input from all of us into. You know, competition for Redwood High School,
Hmm.
you know, and.
Hmm.
You know,
That's gonna be a lot of work.
I mean, I'm just, it's like, what if we give ownership to our,
Yeah.
you know, Hall, Redwood,
Yeah.
to say, okay, you know. Let's have some fun and, you know, who knows, I mean, I know the yearbook and Neil Cummins, you know, it's like a competition for fifth graders, and they, like, it's a huge participation, they take huge pride in it. You know, I have no idea logistically if this would even be feasible, but.
I'm hesitant to put the mission statement that is gonna guide our decisions into the hand of,
Well, we would still,
Yeah, no, not,
But,
yeah,
but I just. And also there's a time limit that I really would like to have this hammered out in time for the new building discussion so that we can truly refer back to it, saying this is a place to nurture knowledge, this is a place to nurture growth, this is a place for our community to have literacy. If we want to have 6 or 7 words, we just need to prioritize. We've got a whole list of them,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
defines us
I
more.
think we have a really good list too.
And
yeah.
I'm
We
still
can
stuck on the
ask the
tagline
other-
thing.
the key.
Well, I was just thinking maybe the tagline we thought, would be
I already have.
Right.
I already have.
Alright.
Explore, grow, connect.
It has to be library. Could be anything.
Well, that's the tote bag. We're on the-
Yeah, but it cannot just be that any Tesla space.
Well, that would be,
It's
that would
still-
just support the mission statement.
Well, this has been a good discussion. I know this will go on, a long time. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel about it, but maybe we could kind of go in and out a little bit.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
if you really had maybe something strong from this meeting, I've taken a lot of notes. We'll get the official minutes. But if you wanted to send like a revised statement or you go home and say, this is my tagline or epiphany or a couple of weeks, maybe email me and then I'll, be the center point for the
Once we look
group.
at the minutes, or even if you wanna send that to me, I'm gonna send you, I like what you did, just
Yeah.
the words.
Just the words.
I think
Yeah,
that's
if
so
I can
brilliant.
just- If you want, yeah, let's just read the word, and maybe there are other words that you
Yeah.
saw from this, but I went through all the statements. The mission statement, and I highlighted the word that were meaningful, and all of them are great, but some of them did not really apply, I felt, to.
Yeah, I like that
To
whole
Larkspur. So the one I picked up from all the different places were community, literacy, knowledge, connections, exploration, free access, space, and local. And if you see other words in the various statements that are relevant to Larkspur, let's add them to the mix, and then we'll just put them in the Magimix and we'll have something.
I like that, though, I like that.
And then we'll make sure to get those words and phrases in the minutes. We have someone who does the minutes, so.
Yeah, I love it, it's great.
So, again, thank you. I think, I should have checked.
Oh. I'll defer to you.
Okay. Break new laws. So thank you for that. That was a great discussion. I kind of look forward to keeping that going. I feel like I've just learned a lot in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
About Larkspur and the library and its people, so.
No, thanks for
Thank you.
taking the input.
And
We have a. So the next,
We're at the,
future agenda items.
well, we should do the status report.
support. Okay.
Thank you. Hi, Diana St. James with the Friends of Larkspur Library. And we are getting ready to do our season of giving fundraising campaign. We have 1,850 letters ready to go out. And we also have 6,000 emails ready to go out. But we're doing a final tweak on our website in it. We just feel like we like to have everything reflecting our message right now. So everything is standing by. So hopefully this week they will all go out and arrive before Thanksgiving. And our goal is to raise $20,000 for the library. So hopefully you all are on the list and will be receiving either the email or the mail. Generally with the mail, those are either some of our old time members, the check writers, and not really into email people. And then we also were able to grow our email addresses. We have 6,000 patron addresses that we got from the library that we are reaching out to through Friends of the Library for the first time. So we'll see how that goes and try to make it a, thank you for, your connection with the library, and we look forward to having you be a part of helping to keep it going. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, I brought up the last time that we had tote bags, and they are here. So I wanted to get one for each. of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Wow.
absolutely.
It can fit in there.
Yes.
Oh, I feel like this is arranged.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
On one side is Larkspur Library, on the other side is Love Your Library,
Oh.
Friends of Larkspur Library.
Terrific.
Now, we only had 150 of these printed up because we wanted to check quality. And it sounds like perhaps if the mission statement evolves, there might be something that could go in the bag,
That's right.
but they're only $2.88 each. So, yeah, it's,
So add that to your donation.
And Andy's already copywriting.
Okay.
Right.
absolutely.
And we're gonna get these out to new card
bars.
new
Yeah.
child card holders. And we got some literacy guides and we're working on giving some giveaway books for those first
That's great.
things.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. It
thank
was
you.
fun to
Yeah,
imagine it and make it happen.
swag is the
It
best.
it is,
It really
it
is.
is. It's the bright red color,
This
just,
is so cool. I
you
like it.
walk around with pride around town, and then I work at Old Mill School Library, and I know how hard it is for the kids to keep their books all in one place, and I think a bright red bag will help stand out for where the library books go.
That's
There
right.
you go.
It'll be easy to spot under the bed.
Yes, right,
Now
exactly.
we know the color selection. Reason. That's great.
The other thing we wanted to do is that we wanted to present the library with a check for $10,000.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, of course, in that, let me go ahead and just pass that on to you.
Great.
So, yes, absolutely. And we decided we didn't want to wait until after the season of giving to have the money to donate. We have it already in our funds. We'd like to see these bags filled with fun things.
Love it.
I know Damon has some equipment that he wants to get an order in before the end of the year, so we thought, let's advance it now and we'll refill our coffers after our campaign.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very much.
and this will play a lot of our programming, the Saturday morning programming is for the friends and that, so wouldn't be possible without that.
Thank you so much.
Is there a way to let the readers know how much the friends are giving regularly? Because that's the second check. You know what the check that month?
Check last time.
Yes, that one was $900
Yeah.
for the Saturdays in the summer.
Right, so to have, I think that especially if you on your end are gonna be going to the people asking for them to raise money. If from the library part, there was, we got this from the friends, it becomes, oh, we give money here and it goes to this, that's always.
Absolutely, and in fact, in our season of giving letter,
Yeah.
we're very specific on what the money is going
Right,
towards,
that's
rather
your
than a
letter.
general.
But if from our side, we're
Ah.
saying thank you to the friend for these particular whatever item that you're getting. That would be good to have when we have the newsletter.
Oh,
Because,
for our, yeah.
Oh, so the
It's just- You
library.
can just raise more awareness for the,
Yeah.
right,
I think so,
Right,
yeah.
a nice list of,
we
yeah,
have a,
I think for the newsletter that he's putting out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
highlight that.
So, you know, one of the things we were thinking about for the newsletters, having like a spotlight on each group for each. Maybe month, like 1 month do the Friends. Foundation, Commons, maybe the board,
yeah,
maybe other groups.
yeah, but when there's
Definitely, yeah.
a gift, I think it would, even if that group is not highlighted that month, to just.
I like-
promote
I like both, I like the idea of highlighting a group, and I agree with you, anytime there is
Every
anything.
time there's a gift, just say, hey, look what we got. Stuff. And get people, excited and those who gave, they say, oh, they actually,
There it is.
Yeah.
they actually bought something.
Yeah, that's
That person's Damon started, he gets, we get a check every month. so-
Yeah. It's one, you know, yeah, it's just-
This is a good start.
One of the things we're asking for in the letter is to get a new AV system similar to this, so we can do more kind of like the space program on December 2nd. He's gonna show a video and we got this projector from long time ago, like the one of those big ones. So that's in the letter. So that's something I'm excited about.
But I agree, in the letter, it's a chance to highlight
Yeah.
I mean, and so the community knows
That
that, hey,
every
like,
time there's.
and now when they know that, to donate to campaigns like this, right?
It's for the early literacy.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And we are having a event on December 2nd at Book Passage. It is a holiday cookies and tea that we're inviting the community in general to come. We're moving away from the idea of members of Friends of the Library to simply, if you're a donor, you're a part of the family. So we're encouraging them to come down. Elaine Petrocelli will speak about her book recommendations for about 45 minutes. There's a chance for homemade cookies and tea, and just for the members or donors to meet each other and exchange ideas, meet us, and connect a little bit. And I've got a couple of girls from Redwood High School who have started a they're calling it a book equity club, and they want more books about people of color getting out into neighborhoods. So I've invited them to come to the tea and meet us and see what we can do as far as helping them get their books out in the community.
And what time is that?
1 to 2.
It's one.
It's Sunday. Is that the 2nd?
Yes.
From 1 to 2. You just drop by. There's no RSVPs, and just another fun way to.
It's a Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then it's the 3rd.
Okay.
It's Sunday. We would have.
Sunday's the 3rd.
Sunday's the 3rd. It is Sunday.
It's good to have influencers from the high school.
Yes, that's how we feel too.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you very much, Diane.
Absolutely.
What,
Sure.
it's contagious, the enthusiasm that you guys have, so it's
Good.
it's great on that level too.
People that we come up with tasks and I can barely keep up with them. And so it's, we're so lucky this go around, and I think the enthusiasm for the new library too is just building, having Damon on board. And so I'm very happy with the way Friends is going right now.
It's great. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're now on future agenda items, one of which is the stats for next time, just something that you could easily put together, and then we'll try to digest, and any comments you have about that. And then continue this talk of, the mission and the how-to of it all too.
I also wanted to bring one other item. We're working on a policy. And it's for unattended adults in the children's room. And we haven't had an incident or anything major. We recently had maybe a confusion, but the entrance for everyone's through the children's room. And also planning for the new facility, and many libraries have such rules. So I have a little something written up I wanted to bring to you.
Okay.
For the December meeting. It should be a relatively quick statement, but wanted to get your feedback on basically not having adults in the children's room unless they're looking for books, and once they get their books, they kind of would leave, but they're not hanging out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'd be for the next agenda too.
Any other ideas for future agenda items?
Well, what we had, talked about that was the annual letter.
Oh, yes.
Is it something
Yes.
that we want to wait to see the stat before we can come up with it, or do we want to take a first stab at it, at least themes next time?
I mean, I think we probably want to look at numbers.
Maybe the annual letter could be an agenda item, just as we discuss, what to put in it roughly as we write.
I think,
What the focus would be?
yeah, I think like when I did it several years ago, I think we talked about it to your point in December, went over numbers, came up with kind of some of the things we wanted to, and then I wrote it over the holidays, and then we talked about it at the January meeting.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Yeah.
and I don't think we gave it to the council until like February.
Yeah.
But so you're probably spot on timing.
Yeah, it's just to start.
So that should definitely be one. And that can include the numbers that you mentioned.
Yeah, and I'll include the numbers with the packet so you can have a chance to read them before the meeting.
Yeah, and then maybe we revisit the mission statement.
Yeah, definitely, you've got to. Because that's something we have to tell the council.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering, this is more discussion than a agenda item. Do we, at some point, I mean, I feel like one of the things that's been sort of an interesting observation since I've joined the board is sort of the role of this group and how we help out what you want to accomplish, Damon. I know obviously we have friends, we've got two other foundations. And there's a lot of sort of like direction that you're getting. Obviously, there's from different groups coming in, and I think it would be helpful for us to just establish some what we want to hope to be able to bring as a group for Damon, his many challenges and opportunities that are ahead. I think that would be clarifying because we have a mission now. We have like a set of goals that we hopefully can set out and go after. I do think there's a bit of an open opportunity to explore the role of this group.
Well, the role is determined by the city. We are an advisory.
Yeah.
So, but I see what you mean, and I agree with that. To just within the role that is determined by the city.
Yeah.
Just to see what is it that we want to focus on. What is the help? And then we need to tell us what you need us for and where our efforts are most necessary.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of learning all the groups and I appreciate you raising this. For me, having this mission assumption, being able to bring like a policy and going, is this right or wrong? Those seem good at the right now, but also I think we'll kind of grow and figure out where that is in the future too, a little bit.
But maybe January we should have that.
I mean, the reason I bring that up is I think we would all spend our time. I mean, I would spend my time away from the library differently if we had like, these are the things that would be really invaluable as like, if we're extensions of, helping you gather information, if it's like a more collaboration around some of the community outreach stuff, if it's whatever scope is within the bounds, but allows us to be a more focused kind of group, in how you want to proceed, because obviously this is not a governance board, right, which is quite different than, like the school board. And so this is kind of like we're like cheerleaders, right, and fans, and we want to be able to be helpful. And I think that for sure, like this is just a discussion around mission stuff will hopefully be helpful to kind of direction setting, focusing going into next year. But anywhere else we can help figure out how we can be most helpful to you and your success, I think that would be really good use of I think would be good use of
I agree with that. I completely agree that it's necessary, especially with the new the new building coming up. I don't like to say new library because we have a library. It's not a new library, it's a new house for the library. And more attention will be coming to the library, and it's very important that whatever we're doing is guided, there's a direction. We know what you expect from us, and we know how to do it.
And it's kind of like, it's for the community at least would be also, I think it would be super clarifying, because there are different bodies that are plugged into different efforts, and like obviously we have, access to funds that allow these programs to run. We've got, we're hiring architects and designers to go in and stand up the new building. We're defining a mission statement. There's all sorts of stuff happening, but they're different kind of blocking and tackling, different groups shouldering the responsibility. It just will really, at least for us, I think it would be great. We can figure out how we really plug in and help you out next year.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Glad you mentioned outreach, and I know you've done some activities, and that's one area I'm hoping to expand.
Yeah.
And it seems like all the groups could be involved in that, but maybe there's targeted specific outreach. The board might be more appropriate for them. Friend group or So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Work on that.
I think it's a very important point, maybe January would be. So, because it sounds like December,
Kick off for the year.
well, it sounds like December is gonna be pretty busy. We've got
Right.
at least 3 items already.
Yeah.
But we can start thinking about, what is our purpose?
Yeah.
Well, we know what the purpose is, but how we
Just
just,
now refining.
how are we,
Fine.
how are we
Fine.
going to be better, best?
Yeah.
At figuring out goals.
Let's not forget that for our next meeting to put it on the following month.
Right.
Okay. Great. Okay, the next meeting date is December 11th, which I hope works with everybody.
Gonna keep it the second Monday.
It's fine with me.
Fine with me.
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
We will miss another parent education night,
Oh.
but, you know,
Oh, that's nice.
there's another one tonight. I think we're just calling in, it's like the PTO, Neil Cummins has like a parent education arms they have for these. But no, please, we're good. I'll be here.
Okay.
Okay, then we can talk about that at a future meeting too.
No, it's okay. They're great, but that's why, my wife and I divide and conquer. You'll get all that knowledge.
Would you put that in the file?
To adjourn,
No, people did it now, right?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second,
all in favor, aye.
aye.
I.
I'm gonna
Thank
take
you
my
very much.
bag here, look at
Thank
this.
you, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Look at that.
Would someone get one to Jonathan for me?
Yeah, I can.